Hello world! WayofTime here, bringing to you another episode of Blood Magic Developer Commentaries. As you can see, I am Alex. And you can probably also see that we are in Minecraft version 1.9. Yes, you probably know this already, but Blood Magic has made the conversion to Minecraft 1.9, so we are able to talk about some of the new changes that are coming to Blood Magic, as well as some of the changes that have, well, changed between the 1.8 and 1.9 versions of the mod. Some of them you can see in the distance, other are subtle ones, but mainly revolving around the usages of the new demonic will types that we discussed in the previous developer commentary. It is a bit advisable to look at that DevCom video before seeing this one, but honestly there's no real order, although the DevComs are numbered. But anyways, let us get into the nitty-gritty of the mod, and then we can have a little fun time with the new changes. So one of the main changes that actually is very good, let's actually get the orb. It's not a change in Blood Magic, but it's a change to the vanilla combat system that makes Blood Magic so freaking cool. So if we get our various sigils, our nice divination sigil, our air sigil, and let's get a simple sword. Sentient sword. We'll get into that stuff. So first things first, you can see that the sentient sword, it is, well, it doesn't have a binding section. Sorry, it doesn't have a toggleable section, so if you shift right click, it doesn't toggle. Just right clicking refreshes its abilities, and as you can see with the vanilla changes, sword swings now have a cooldown. So you can't just go Minecraft spam clicking, you have to do a measured tactical ability. You can see this has a 1.6 attack speed, as basically every single sword in the game, but if you look at the axes, and I do this with the bound axe as well to, well, obviously I need to fix those because these damages and speeds are a little erroneous, and thank goodness I found them out. Anyways, diamond axe 1 attack speed and 9 damage, whereas the diamond sword is 1.6 attack speed but 7 damage. But you're not here to listen about the 1.9 changes of Minecraft, you're here to listen about the 1.9 changes in Blood Magic. So because we have a second slot, second hand, we are able to do something very fun. So the air sigil, let's see, divination sigil, gonna need to power up our LP and just go to game mode 0. So normally when I play the game, I have my air sigil in slot number 5, so I can just go attack, tack, tack, whoop, and just fly away. But with Minecraft 1.9, I can press the F key as the default switch key, and now I can fly, right click with the air sigil and fly, and then I can just attack with my sword, which honestly just feels so cool. And if I spawn a ghast, obviously I'm gonna need to not be peaceful, just spawn it, obviously hoping that it flies away. Ghast combat is a lot more interesting, especially considering I'm already out of LP. Wow. Flying certainly takes it out of a person, and I'm gonna die, so let's get out of that hellhole. So it definitely makes it interesting, since now you're able to right click with different items, and it has a whole lot of other stuff. So let's talk about the minor changes to the mod first before talking about the major changes. One of the minor changes is that sentient sword kills on peaceful mobs will no longer drop demonic will. This was a glitch that I was intending to fix for a long time, but haven't gotten around to it, but now I have, so sorry guys. It's, why do you keep on running away from me? Another thing is that the demonic will that is dropped from hostile mobs now scales with the max health of the mob. So if you were to attack a skeleton which had 50 health compared to a skeleton which had 20 health, you'll get a lot more demonic will. So yeah, now that I actually think of it, if you were to kill the Ender Dragon, which has a lot of max health, you're going to get a lot of demonic will. Though by that time, you're probably not going to be hurting for demonic will. Gonna need to fix some of the right-click interactions there. Oh, another small change that has changed to vanilla Minecraft that is going to be, well, it's gonna mean I may have to rethink the balancing of the mod. If you can see, I'm currently in normal difficulty and I have the default vanilla regeneration. And I'm at 5 hearts. Now normally, eating will just fill your saturation in your food bar and then you naturally regenerate slowly. However, now you get a regeneration buff for a certain amount of time and it just eats away at your saturation. So that is going to be something I have to seriously think about, because the ritual of the satiated stomach only fed your saturation, and considering how quickly that regenerated, it's going to mean that it's going to be very difficult to balance the satiated stomach ritual, which means either I have to take it out or have to change its operation. It's going to be something that I have to rethink the balance of, but we are not talking about that today. What we're talking about mainly this episode, but there's going to be some more fun stuff near the end, is how to automate your creation of demonic will. So the lore in the mod is that demonic will is the physical manifestation of the imprint of a demon's will onto a monster, causing it to animate. So for instance, you have a skeleton and some demonic entity is imprinting their will onto that skeleton, causing it to animate and try to, you know, attack all things lovely and beautiful in the universe. Mainly you. Skeletons do not like you, probably because of the diet you went on last night. Anyways, so jokes aside, how we do this is we need to put this demonic will into the aura using our nice demon crucible there, inject it in the aura, and we then need to fertilize, use it to fertilize a crystal on the ground to try to grow some more demonic will. Let's put this a different way. Demonic will in the aura, plus a crystal, plus the blood of your enemies, and this isn't a joke, equals more efficient growth of these crystals. Sounds fun, eh? Let's actually discuss this. So here we have a ritual, a new ritual, that is entitled The Gathering of the Forsaken Souls, and it requires 44 runes in order to create. Not too bad, it's a nice compact ritual, allows access to the Master Ritual Stone for other needs, which won't be discussed this episode because it's not even started coding that sort of stuff yet. But anyways, so we have this ritual, and then we're going to need to have those demonic will crystal clusters, which we discussed in the previous episodes. Just to recap how to create that is you need to have a nice demon crucible here. That's giving some stuff away. You need to have a demon crucible injecting demonic will into the aura, and then you create a crystallizer here, plop it down on the ground in the same chunk as the demon crucible, put your tartaric gem inside of the crucible, let it take the will from the crucible, inject it into the air, and then eventually after some time has passed you will get some crystal. Let's just put this. Yes, it is mighty big for me. And yeah, it does kind of hurt. Yeah. That is... Anyways, jokes aside. So, you get a crystal cluster after spending a bunch of demonic will. You can also create these by checking the recipes. 4 Demon Will crystals and 100 Demon Will. If you have 1200 Demon Will in your Tartaric Gem, will create a crystal cluster for you to place on the ground. So once you have these crystal clusters, you then put them on top of the ritual. This ritual has an area which is 7 by 7, so 7 by 7 by 5 high. So this is the bottom level. You can have it higher, but you can't place crystals on top of other crystals, so you need to have walls or multiple layers, some fancy stuff like that. I'm sure you can design something a bit more efficient. Time, set, day, and then you inject Demon Will into the aura. Now here is the fun part of the ritual, which makes it an interesting thing to optimize and automate. So if we were to get some zombies, zombie pigments, etc., creepers, sure, and we need to set ourselves to normal, this ritual will set things on fire. Interesting thing that I haven't actually figured out, apparently, is that I need to figure out how to make it so that the sun does not shine through my plots. So let me make a ceiling so our nice fun friends here do not burst into flames. Okay, much better. So if we place this, you can see that the zombie inside of this area, I believe it's a 10 radius away from the Master Ritual Stone, it'll slowly damage the monster. And it will take the blood from this monster to fuel to fertilize the crystals so that it can start growing. So you take the blood of the Fallen, and the Forsaken, I guess, and use it in conjunction with the Demon Will that is in the aura in order to increase, well, in order to bring that Demon Will and seed it onto the crystals. Now, here's some fun stuff to talk about with this ritual. So as you can see, there's a bunch of nice fun zombies in here. They get damaged. They get damaged over time. Now this ritual doesn't actually fertilize the fertilize based on the damage dealt. It only fertilizes the crystals when the entities are actually killed. So that means if you have some sort of dropper trap, bring them down and you have only 1 life left. So if you have a dropper trap way over there, bring them down, drop trap, and they survive with just 1 health. If the ritual kills it, basically the full force of the ritual takes effect. It doesn't matter if the zombie had 20 health or 1 health, it's still going to give the exact same because the bonus is based on maximum health of the entity killed. And yeah, so another thing is that this ritual doesn't like it when you give it the exact same thing. So if you were to give it 20 zombies, it's going to sure work, and basically the ratio is that when it just works on purely 1 mob, it's going to take, I believe, 35 demonic will from the aura and create a crystal shard worth 50 demon will. So net bonus of 15 demon will. Hope I said 50 instead. 50, 15. Always confusing when you say that. It'll only give a bonus of 15 demon will for a maximum health of 20, which can be good. So if you want a not very optimized system, it works very well. Let me just get a Tartaric Gem to fill this so that it can consume some. Put Demon Will into the aura, and you can see that the crystals are not so slowly growing. The reason that they're not slowly growing is because we put a bunch of mobs in and basically added to its buffer. Now, as I was alluding to, basically if you mix up the mobs, so we have a few skeletons put in there, a creeper, some zombie pigmen, they'll get damaged slowly, and then it will raise the efficiency of the ritual. So instead of taking 35 demonic will in order to grow a cluster, it'll only take like 25 or something, or even down to 5 demon will. Now this is where it becomes mathy. So what the ritual does is it looks at the last 10 kills that were made. So for instance, what we did there, let's say we killed 5 zombies, 2 skeletons, 2 zombie pigmen, and a creeper. Those were the last 10 kills. It then sees which ones were basically unique kills, and as you can see, we only had 4 unique mobs killed. We had skeleton, zombie pigman, zombie, and creeper. So since the uniqueness is 4, it will have, basically, since it has a higher uniqueness, the efficiency will be a lot greater. However, if you have a uniqueness all the way up to 10, so if you were to kill 10 different types of mobs, witches, villagers, skeletons, zombie pigmen, zombies, mobs from other mods, even peaceful mobs, if you were to go through the effort to make sure that 10 unique mobs are always killed, then it's going to be a lot more efficient and hopefully a lot less laggy. Thank you very much. Man, I'm not sure why it's so laggy. And anyways, as you can see, a bunch of our crystals did grow. This one growing actually a lot. Now another thing to keep in mind is that crystals have a cooldown. What the ritual does is it looks for a rich crystal when it has enough will and blood collected to do so. It'll search a random crystal in its area and then try to grow it. If that crystal is on a cooldown, so basically if it was force grown recently, it's going to be less efficient in its suction of demon will and probably will be a lot worse because of it. Therefore, what you need to do is make sure that you have let's see, a lot of crystals. If you have only a single crystal cluster in the area, you're not going to get as much efficiency. So basically, the highlights of this ritual is the more crystal clusters and the more unique mobs that are killed, the better it is. Currently, right now, I have to do manual collection, and that's because I don't have currently the ritual that will automatically harvest it. But that will be soon, and the name is going to be, well, pretty obvious what it does. And I'm just going to feed those back in so we can empty our buffer and put some more demon will into the aura. Now, believe it or not, that's not what we were mainly going to talk about today. Let us get one of these, just so we can grab it. As you saw in previous episodes, there were now different types of demonic will. Battle texture changes aside, what we have are 4 unique demon will types, plus obviously the default type. We have the default demon will, so just normal demon will crystal. We have corrosive will, we have destructive, we have vengeful, and we have steadfast. And these are now the unique demon will that we have. Mainly the only usages are if we combine will crystal with a tartaric gem, we can set it so that that gem only will contain that type of crystal, type of will rather, and we can also make a crystal cluster out of that. That doesn't really sound like much. Time set day, because I need the daylight cycle. Probably don't need it anymore, but whatever. But as I said in the last DevCom, what's going to happen is eventually this will be used to empower and augment rituals so that they become more destructive, more useful, have a lot more variety to them. But what's going to happen, well, what happens right now, is that if you have a certain demonic will in your inventory when you're using certain items, you get interesting effects. So let's look at the sentient items. because this is basically the only thing that has this ability. And we're going to get, let's see, Tartaric Gems. As you can see, we have each variety. You only really, in the crafting, it's only going to use the default will, but these are, let's just demonstrate it. So as you can see right now, we have a sentient sword. It does sentient stuff. Right click it so it updates it based on how much will you have. Right click again, you get more attack damage. Right click with the sentient armor and we get sentient armor, which is sentient and blocks damage. You know, like what armor is supposed to do, etc. However, if we were to instead have a corrosive gem on us, toggle our armor, we now have a corrosive set of sentient armor. Doesn't have the tooltip for that, but if we were to right click with our sword and right click with our bow, they change their hue. Now obviously this doesn't really do much. Now that seems to be a vanilla bug where it doesn't do the automatic drawback right away. Other than looking cool, it doesn't look like it does much, does it? But it does. So the corrosive set of sentient armor basically makes it so that you are completely immune to wither and poison effects, especially at this high level. I'm probably going to add a cooldown like the other stuff, like the living armor upgrade for poison resist has a cooldown so that you can only resist poison so often. But if we were to game mode it up, throw this on us, you get cured of the poison instantly. So if we were to invest to get a lot of corrosive demon will, we would be immune to poison. And the best part is, if we were to get a spider, hope this is strong enough to show this. Let's go to easy. Spider, spawn spider. It's getting damaged by our ritual, so obviously that's not the best test in the world. And maybe it's because it's too weak. Or maybe, no, poison doesn't actually work on spiders. Obviously my testing is a little flawed right now, so give me a second. Now apparently I was testing on things that are completely immune to poison effects. But if we were to... why am I having particles right now? I don't have an active potion effect. That is very weird. Anyways, if you were to spawn this villager and left click with the sword, we can see that we actually cause a poison effect. So apparently a lot of mobs in the game are immune to poison, so I'm going to have to actually think of that when I balance this sort of effect. But it seems there is vanilla bug where if I clear a poison effect, it doesn't actually go away, so I'm going to have to look into that. But if you were to attack slimes, they are not going to have a good day, and they basically can't do anything to me because, hey, I'm a badass using my corrosive will to poison them to no end. And obviously it drains the corrosive will to a different amount. So as you can tell, each of the different unique will types has different set of abilities. So if we were to get the Tartaric Gems and test a few of them out, it might be interesting. Let's test the first is our Vengeful Will. So Vengeful, if we were to toggle, is basically speed boost. What it is it attempts to, well, vengeance. You're trying to get vengeance. So in order to get vengeance, you need to be able to continually attack your opponent. So what the Vengeful demonic will items do is it adds abilities in order for you to continually deal damage. So if we were to look after we are given a bit of time, the Sentient Chestplate will give plus 40% speed, comparable with a low-level quick feet upgrade on the living armor, but it still has a lot of defense. The Sentient Sword, when held, gives plus 25% speed, It has less damage than the normal sentient sword. However, it has a 2.4 attack speed compared to the 1.6 attack speed of the other sword of the default will, so you can see you attack a lot faster. And let's go eat a bit. And it seems that hunger prevents that regeneration, so that's interesting. Not going to use that to any sort of detriment, though, because that's one of those things where it's like, balance. So Disruptive Will, as the name implies, adds a lot of damage. So if we were to right-click with our sword, you can see with our chest piece, we have plus 25% attack damage and minus 16% attack speed. And our sentient sword has 1 attack speed, but 10.5 damage. So if we were to attack very big mobs, this is basically like a bossers set. If we were to attack big mobs, they're going to go down in seconds. Like, especially with crit. And keep in mind, these give all of the enchantments of your normal sentient sword, no matter what type of demonic will you have. And as you can see, I wasn't exactly doing very well with the small mobs, because since it's a lot slower, because the armor makes you a lot slower, attack speed wise, small mobs aren't very good. Small weak mobs, not good to use this set of armor, but big strong mobs, you can just nail them here. Now the final set is probably one of my favorite to use. Let's get out of this dogfight. And it's the Steadfast Demonic Will Armor. Now, because I have the largest, let's actually get steak. Steak, please. Thank you. You can probably tell the effect considering that I'm just getting hit right now. Huh. There we go. Oh, it only fast regens when you have full hunger. So you can see that it has plus 30 health because I have a very large Tartaric gem. This isn't typical on the early stages. Has full knockback resistance, again, not typical in the early stages, but it's a lot weaker. The sword is a lot weaker, but as you can see, when I kill something, not damage something, kill something, I get absorption hearts proportional to the max health of the thing that I killed. So let's attack, attack. Attacking the little guys doesn't really give much because they're little. They only have 1 max health, so it's not going to do anything. But it temporarily gives you absorption hearts and allows you to mitigate even more damage. So if you were to have this bad guy up here, let's actually eat. If we were to have this bad guy up here wailing on us, we're just, well, not getting knocked back. Our absorption hearts are the ones that are going first. And the only reason that this armor is going fast is because of the Forge buff. This Forge buff is fixed in later versions of Forge, and it's going to be something that's going to need. Hey, back. I need more absorption armors. And as you can also see, it's a temporary boost. It only lasts 30 seconds, so you can't just go like maximum amount of absorption hearts and attack things. Well, you can't really prepare that much. But I think this, obviously with a few tweaks, because it could be considered overpowered. I haven't really played with the 1.9 combat much. All I've been doing is really attacking things on a flat world, which isn't exactly very, well, construcive with how normal vanilla combat is supposed to be. But yeah, 30 seconds of having temporary health could be very helpful with combat, and considering that Steadfast is a lot more defensive-oriented than the other ones, you're not going to be dishing out much damage, but you are going to make sure that you stay alive long enough. And in a hardcore world, this is something that I'd consider very good. So, I'm just going to do a bit of closing stuff because I think I have been going on quite a while. Right-click. Right-click. Yay! So, also helps as a fall damage buffer. Ooh, not as much as I thought it would. Anyways, so there are a few abilities that I am thinking of and currently trying to think of a good way to implement them. So because we now have two hands, it makes sense to have it so that the sentient sword, when you, when you attack things, while you have something in your offhand, it will have different abilities. So my thinking was that if you have the vengeful sentient sword, and you were to have a divination sigil in your offhand, normally that'd be completely useless. However, if you were to do that, it might give you the spectral buff, where it caused the, let's see if I can get that spectral arrow. Spectral arrow. Let's craft a few of those. Let's get the rest. Requires glowstone and just some arrows. Let's quickly get that. You can see that an outline appears around them. And it's kind of interesting because this outline persists even if you were behind some sort of wall. See? Now you know where the slime is. So I was thinking of adding that as a sentient sword effect when you were to have the vengeful will. So you'd be able to see where the enemies are, and it might be an interesting thing. I'm going to have to toy around with that, but it's going to be something that I want to look at in the future, and wow, that is big. Haha. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Blood Magic Developer Commentaries. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. WayofTime here, signing off. Have a wonderful day. Man, I can't wait to play this with this in survival.